So
Hmm.
video email allows your essence to be presented front and center. So now in your inbox where you see just a ton of, marketing emails or things you had to sign up on a website in order to get the
Yep.
coupon or whatever, like you actually get somebody going, "Hey, hey, it's me," right? And so they click on it. So
Yeah.
the pass-through rate is like 90%,
Hmm.
but the open rate is like 25 to 50, which is way higher than most emails. And sometimes
Yep.
that's how we're forged,
Hmm.
right? The diamond doesn't become a diamond without extreme heat on the coal for it to open, right? So we don't know light without dark, right? We don't build strength or muscle without resistance. And
Hmm.
so it's not about forgetting, but true forgiveness comes when you find the gift in the pain.
Welcome everyone to another episode of ULab Central. Today I'm joined with Jessie, and Jessie, would you like to tell our audience why they should be excited about our conversation today?
Absolutely, because transformation is available to all. There's no limitation to us, only the belief there is one. So we're going to crack that open.
So, where should we start? Do you want to start with tips, or do you want to share your transformation journey and then we can take some inspiration from it?
Sure. Part of my transformation journey and what had me come to a time in my life where I believe I know my purpose
Hmm.
um, has been a product of my journey, coming from a history of sexual abuse
Hmm.
to domestic violence to becoming very apathetic and not wanting this life anymore to being convicted and passionate about helping others get out of suffering, being, in the context of two murders, my older brother 30 years ago and my little brother 2 years ago. And, being able to ask for what this, what is the purpose of my existence? If both my brothers are meant to be taken, why am I here? And in that ask, getting clarity around how I can serve more people, people with grief, people with disappointment, people with trauma, and all of that. So my outcome is to alchemize people's pain into power so that we can live a sovereign, empowered life.
So, this trauma, I mean, I cannot fathom how much you've gone through, and there's always some sort of trauma in everybody's life. But where did you start your journey? Was it acceptance? I mean, other things like that, coming to terms with the fact that this has happened, I need to get over it, or some other form of external help that came through to you, and where did it begin?
Well, it's such a great question. What actually got me to decide to live
Hmm.
was an act of kindness. And it was an act of kindness of a group of people that will never know who they woke up. Like they were just being, I was volunteering to be a patient for an emergency medicine course that I ended up flunking because I was my ex-husband and all these stuff was going on, right? So I became the patient and they were helping me and I was helping them because they were having to pull me out of bushes and and all this stuff. And I was very introverted, very shy. My husband was very jealous and insecure. And so I looked down at the ground. I didn't make eye contact. So for me to step into this role was a big thing, but it was their act of kindness and thanking me and pulling leaves out of my hair and and then they all like pitched money and bought me a Best Buy card. It seems like a little thing, but to me,
Hmm.
it cracked me open to believe like why would you do something for me without like something in return? I didn't understand it. My father had trained me to believe that everybody just wants to get into your pants. My
Hmm.
ex-husband trained me to believe that everybody's guilty before they're innocent and they just want to take advantage of you and take what you got. So I looked through those lenses and now all of a sudden these people are being kind and I'm like, I don't even know to call it kindness. I just knew that whatever this feeling awoke in me made life worth living.
Hmm.
And that gave me the strength to get out of my marriage and get obsessed, if you will, with understanding human beings. At that point, I was 38, and I'm like, I don't even know who the frick I am. I don't know what my favorite color is. I'm a mom of three. I've got to make sure they're okay. And so I decided to just grind. I went to therapy. I went to read books, went to seminars, workshops, whatever I had to do to understand why my dad did what he did, why my mom ignored me when I tried to tell her at 16, why my husband did what he did, and why I allowed it. And that just became the trajectory of me deciding that I needed to understand.
So, this state of apathy that you were at some point of time, having gone through so much, this sense of not being able to feel whether something is good or something is bad. Uh, this is a state where probably a few other people also go through their life. I don't know if it's a few, if it's a lot, but everybody does have some phase. Now, how did you get through? I mean, there was this act of kindness that pulled you through that mental state, but keeping it together on a regular basis is probably something that not everybody is able to do. How were you able to do that and help? mm, What would you suggest others to do?
Honestly, I didn't know to name it this. There was a will in me to persevere. A
Mm-hmm.
big part of it was my children
Right.
and survival, honestly.
Mhm.
Sometimes when it's like that saying goes, sometimes we don't know what we've got until our knees hit the floor, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it was the craziest thing in the world for me. I was going to be married forever. That was my mindset. So to turn my world upside down like this was a call of something greater than me that just kept me. Now, because of the way I was kept in relationship, I was very timid, very scared, didn't know how to drive out of my own city. I had to buy a Thomas guide back then. MapQuest was just coming out. And I knew that if I was going to make it, I had to face my fears. And so I would do things that scared me. I would put things in front of me. I did an improv class, which
Right.
freaked me out. It's like, what the heck, but that was cool because in improv, there's no wrong.
Mhm.
They tell you, hey, I threw a football and it crashed through the window. Now and I grabbed it and ran and made a touchdown, whatever. Like everybody just, you make it up.
Yeah.
So it helped me crack open my shell a little bit. Then I took an acting class. Then I did a fitness competition. I mean, all these things terrified me,
Hmm.
terrified me. I was not anyone that considered herself would ever be on stage.
Hmm.
Like I was the girl in the back of the classroom peeing her pants because I knew the teacher was going to call on me.
Hmm.
That's who I was.
Okay.
So it was grit, perseverance, tenacity to rise above no matter what.
Hmm.
Um, it was courage, being able to
Yeah.
face off with every fear if it was edgy. And even in the Tony Robbins world, we say when you can't, you must.
Hmm.
And when you say I can't do that, I'm like, oh, now I have to, right? Because is it really dangerous? Is it bad for me? Or is it just scary and unknown?
Hmm.
And if it's scary and unknown, then I'm going to do it. And I didn't know that I was building resilient muscles. I didn't
Right.
know. I just was in survival and I was going to do whatever it took.
Now, you've gone through this journey and you've reached a point where you're now, I mean, I don't know if you can say enlightened, but yeah, you're in a state where you're now ready to help people. So, what's your plan? How are you doing this, reaching out to people and then helping them get through their own problems or traumas?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I have a master class available and I do social media. I also have a lot of referrals, word of mouth.
Hmm.
Also doing podcasts like this, I get to reach an audience and
Hmm.
people hear and then they reach out. So things like that.
And how is it working out for you? I mean, do you call it, I mean, how do you charge people? How is it? I'm sorry, I don't know if I should be asking something like this, but have you made a business or something of that sort where you have a team of
Oh,
people?
yes.
Yeah.
For sure. I have a 12-week course.
Okay.
It's called Fierce, and it is to alchemize your pain, to take your pain and turn it into power. I believe that we have a society of personal development, which is fantastic. So many people doing it now, but a lot of what it teaches is move through,
Mm-hmm.
right? Change your state, change your story,
Yeah.
do positive affirmations. And
Mm-hmm.
all of those things are great. They're important. But what happens is we are moving through, but we're not being with. What caused limitation to begin with? And
Mm-hmm.
so what we're doing is installing new software on an old operating system, expecting it not to glitch,
Yeah.
right? So then what happens is we know what to do, but
Mm-hmm.
then we find ourselves stuck again, and
Yeah.
now we have a deeper reason to
Mm-hmm.
shame ourselves. Because now I read the books, I went to the seminar, what's wrong with me,
Yeah.
right? Because we're bypassing the healing. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe we're mindsetting our way out of healing. And so we
Okay.
have to be willing it's not therapy, it's not to dig up anything. It's
Mhm.
to understand that the human experience itself
Yeah.
will create meaning out of our experiences in an unconscious conditioning that we don't know nothing about, right?
Right.
When somebody makes a when somebody's a child and they're playing in the aisle with toys and they look up and mom
Yeah.
isn't there, but mom can see him, he can't see her. He anchors abandonment.
Yeah.
In that moment, I could be left behind, right? Now he clings to mommy when she's, about to leave. Now, he's terrified of, now he's 35
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't know why he can't keep a relationship because he's jealous, insecure, and controlling. And it's all because he has this unconscious belief that he could be left behind. So that's what's responding. And so this 12-week course is a way where we get to, in 12 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
condense what you could get in years and years of therapy, and we start to look at the other side of the story. We start to
Yeah.
take your painful moments, and
Mm-hmm.
if you're listening to this podcast right now, all I see is a strong, powerful human being. And I know that every one of you have been brought to your knees at one point or another. You've cried yourself to sleep. You got back up. So that's what we need to focus on, and we need to unpack that so you get the power from your pain,
Mm-hmm.
not just focused on the pain.
Now, I think you mentioned the name as Fierce Grace, if I was correct. Could you
Hmm.
just explain the term itself? Because grace and fierce kind of makes it an oxymoron. I don't know if I can call it
Yes.
that, but could you just explain it to for the
Yes,
listener?
it feels like two opposites, and it
Yeah.
is, right? So if you think about it, we all harness masculine, feminine energies,
Mm-hmm.
right? Every one of us, right? Men
Yeah.
have feminine energy and masculine, and women have masculine and feminine. And so if you take outside gender and you just look at energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that we have a society that's tilted the scale, right? It's just like, oh, you have to be masculine in order to get by in the corporate arena. So we have a lot of women that have been wounded and hurt, and they fought so hard to prove that we could do it all that now they're stuck in their masculine. They don't know how to let down their guard, and
Mm-hmm.
they think that that's how they have to show up in a corporate room.
Okay.
But it's not correct. A feminine woman in her flow walking into a corporate room of 20 men will buckle every man's knees. And we're forgetting that, right? So
Right.
fierce grace is how do we balance our energies to show up in our most powerful self? How do we be a warrior but heart-centered?
Mm-hmm.
Do we be a feminine but being able to be a mama bear? Those are different energies than fight or flight.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now you also mentioned social media in between. So how are you leveraging that? Do you present a personal brand or do you do only messaging or what kind of stuff are you doing on social media?
I do videos. Some of these interviews, for instance, do little clips and put them out there. Every now and again, I'll do where I answer questions
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. So it's mostly video, just so people get familiar with me and get connected to what I do and how I speak. And if it lands, if it's something they believe that will serve them, then I'm grateful for that.
But how do people respond to your videos? Are there a lot of questions? Do they respond with acceptance? Yeah, we've been through something like this. What kind of engagement are you getting on social media?
Most agreements, like, I totally agree with this, I think this and this is spot on, that kind of stuff. It hasn't, I will say it has gotten a couple of people that will double click and look for more and then
Yeah.
show up on my calendar. But I also do email marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's email video marketing. And video marketing
Right.
is where you actually get a video in your inbox that's moving and says hello. And
Yeah.
so it's different because I think our inboxes nowadays are crowded with so much. So
Yeah.
that's another vehicle as well.
How is this? Now, this is something new that I'm hearing about video email marketing. So, how is this working out? Because yeah, you rightly said that our inboxes are currently crammed with a lot of newsletters. How is video marketing working out for you? How are the responses?
Well, video marketing is in a world of high tech, high
Yeah.
touch is going
Mhm.
to be the next level. Right. And so it's very important that we maintain our authenticity. And now with AI, you have all kinds of videos and everything is AI.
Yeah.
You don't know what's real anymore.
Yeah.
And so I want to know I'm talking to a human being. So
Hmm.
video email allows your essence to be presented front and center. So now in your inbox where you see just a ton of, marketing emails or things you had to sign up on a website in order to get the
Yeah.
coupon or whatever, like you actually get somebody going, "Hey, hey, it's me," right? And so they click on it. So
Yeah.
the pass-through rate is like 90%, but
Hmm.
the open rate is like 25 to 50, which is way higher than most emails. So it really creates a response and people feel like there's a real human being on the other side.
Now, I don't know how it works out because I mean, there are a lot of people who are undergoing pain, right? They have trauma, but to have that acceptance that, yeah, I'm going through trauma and I need external help or I need to do something about it. How do you help your audience or people who come to you generate that acceptance in them in the first place?
I don't as much talk about trauma because some people think they don't have trauma or they think
Yeah.
or they think I've already fixed it. I already forgave
Yeah.
or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's more so where are you limited today? Like,
Okay.
where is your relationship at a 10? Is it passionate? Is it toe curling? Is it, all of that?
Mhm.
Is your finances where you want them to be?
Mhm.
Are you asking for the promotion? Do you feel confident enough to speak your word?
Yeah.
Right? Where are you limited right now? Let's talk about where
Okay.
you're at. How could you surpass that and become the highest version of you? And all of it is tied to something that happened where there was an anchored trauma moment that created limitation in the now. So I don't lead with that as much as I lead with where we're going to go.
So, so you create the idea that, yeah, we can get to where we want to go and create a better life for ourselves, something in that sense.
hmm Absolutely. Yeah, because there's no limitation to the human being, only the belief there is one. And if it's just a
Yeah.
belief, let's find where that belief was made. It was made without your permission sometimes because we're children. We don't know we're making decisions about our
Yeah.
identity, right? So let's crack that open and let's see because there's no limitation at all. There's no difference.
Yeah.
Education is not the only way. Like some people think, "Oh no, because you have a Harvard degree or whatever." It's just
Yeah.
like that is not what makes somebody live their
Mhm.
dreams.
So for someone who's had that deep-rooted belief system or just sense of ideas that, yeah, this is who I am or this is what I am supposed to be. Okay, coming out of the shell might be a difficult task. Uh, what would you suggest would be one step that they can take? Or I don't know, how will they even take it? Because if they've not accepted, yeah, that they're currently in a limited state is how you're putting it, right? That people are limited by the belief systems currently, and then to go beyond, how would you tell them to take the first step, even if they're
Well, it's
thinking about it?
interesting. It's a great question. And I only people that are ready to take their life to that next level, right?
Mhm.
So if you are happy and
Mhm.
you're content where you're at, and then good for you. I'm
Mhm.
not here to fix anybody. This isn't, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like and even on my website I have 3 reasons to not work with me.
Mhm.
One, if you are stuck in the blame game.
Uh-huh.
2, if you're not ready to let the story go.
Yeah.
And 3, if vulnerability scares you, then I love you, but it's not our time,
Mhm.
right? So you need to be able to look at what created limitation. I look at trauma in 3 levels. Number 1, it's undiagnosed. These
Mhm.
are the traumas we didn't even know we made, right? Like the little
Yeah.
boy playing in the aisle with toys. He didn't know he anchored abandonment,
Mhm.
right? Mom didn't know. There was no abuse. There was nothing wrong,
Yeah.
right? But as a human being, that's what got anchored, undiagnosed. Then we have unacknowledged trauma,
Mhm.
right? Unacknowledged trauma. It's like my ex-husband and I, when we got together, we were 18 and 21, right?
Okay.
He came from a very abusive alcoholic mother. I came from my abuse. So we both knew our big traumas,
Mhm.
right? And so he said, "My kids will never see me drunk." I said, "My kids will never be molested." And we thought we fixed it, right? So
Yeah.
we didn't acknowledge the micro traumas beneath that kind of behavior,
Mhm.
right? So that's why I have nothing but love and grace for my ex-husband. This isn't to vilify him. These were 2 young kids that fell in love, knew
Mhm.
our big traumas, and thought we could go into a marriage at that age and that nothing else would happen. So that's the unacknowledged. And
Mm.
then the third one is unresolved. And the unresolved ones are the ones that you don't know to know. They're just sitting there, or like some people think, no, I forgave, right? Like I have
Yeah.
a client he's 400 and something pounds, sweetheart of a man. He stood up in a where I went speaking and I was talking about forgiveness. And I don't need forgiveness. My mom lives 3 blocks down the street from me. I don't even care to see her. I just don't care. And I'm like, it doesn't bother me anymore. I don't need it, right? And we had rapport, and I knew him well, so I'm like, you're wearing your unforgiveness in your weight, right? And he
Right.
started bawling. He started crying, and he recognized that he had not truly. But I think sometimes we have a misconstrued idea of what forgiveness is,
Mhm.
and we just think if we don't care, that equals
Yeah.
forgiveness, or we've forgiven, but we're still holding on to the limitation of what happened. That's
Yeah.
also not forgiveness. So, and we also think that forgiving someone sets them free. No,
Mhm.
it sets you free, right? So, that's the unresolved.
Now, I love the last part where you mentioned that, yes, forgiveness actually doesn't set the other person free. It's you who are being set free from the burden itself of carrying that unforgiveness or the thought itself. But I've heard that about forgive and forget.
Mhm.
Is it really so easy in your experience, or how have you worked with people with that mentality?
Yeah, and it's not about forgetting because I believe in divine order. And what
Okay.
does that mean? That means that everything is happening as it should.
Mhm.
So even my father's abuse, it's not about forgetting, it's that if part of my karmic contract, let's say, and needed to have that depth of abuse to wake me up or to feel shame in such a deep way that I understand humanity in shame, right? Because I didn't just read about it, right? Reading how to climb Mount Everest and actually climbing it are two different things, right? So if part of my karmic journey was to go through that with my father so that I could awaken to my power, take back my essence, fall in love with myself versus hate myself, that was
Mhm.
part of my path, then so be it. So I don't forget what happened, but instead of focusing on the hurt, focusing on the abuse, I focus on the little girl that got back up.
Yeah.
I focus on the courage it took to build traps to warn her when her dad was coming into her room. I look at her as resilient and resourceful and creative because that is true. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's how we're forged,
Mhm.
right? The diamond doesn't become a diamond without extreme heat on the coal for it to open, right? So we don't know light without dark, right? We don't build strength or muscle without resistance. And
Mhm.
so it's not about forgetting, but true forgiveness comes when you find the gift in the pain.
Okay. Now I don't exactly understand the last part. I mean, forget the gift in the pain itself. Could you just elaborate for me? I'm
Sure.
still a
So
little lost at that part. Yeah.
when I look at myself as a little girl
Hmm.
and I can think of how horrible it was that I went through that with my father.
Hmm.
I loved him. He betrayed me. Obviously, he was abusive. Right? So I used to build traps to warn me when he'd come into my room. And if you could imagine a little girl just scurrying, I would get Coke cans and stack them on top of each other to warn me. It never really stopped him, but for me, it made me feel better.
Hmm.
And so I look at that, and on one hand, it's tragic that a little girl had to build traps to warn her when her father was coming, which is true.
Hmm.
On the other hand, I see a beautiful little girl that was courageous, that was creative, that was resilient, that built these traps. What a great idea. How creative was she, resourceful? Because that's also true.
Hmm.
So this makes me feel bad. This one hurts me. This one makes me angry.
Hmm.
This one allows me to fall in love with aspects of me
Hmm.
versus see her as a victim. I see her as a powerful little girl that got knocked down and got back up, and I can't unsee that now.
Right.
So now that I get, okay, so if what had to happen in darkness with my father had to happen for me to build resilience muscles,
Hmm.
do I like it? No. Do I wish it was different? Sometimes, but really, I don't know. I can't just rewrite my story. And
Hmm.
if I say that shouldn't have happened, then I'm arguing with the reality that it did. And if I do that, I'm going to suffer. So I have two choices.
Yeah.
Do I see the victim that got hurt, or do I see the powerful little girl that got back up? Both are true.
Yeah.
One depletes me and makes me upset, and the other one expands me and makes me love her.
Yeah. Thanks. That was profound, actually. Helped me clear out a lot of doubts that I had in my mind. And yeah, surely the audience also got some clarity as to how they should be looking at situations, right? From the positive and the negative lens. I was just curious as to how many people have you worked with and impacted? I know if you can give a rough number.
Thousands, thousands. I mean, and from all over the world, from all
Right.
over the world. And when you start to really work with people from all over the world,
Hmm.
you recognize human behavior. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter where you come from. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? It's just human behavior and what we do as human beings. And, it's been a journey to get to this kind of understanding. A lot of training, a lot of travel, a lot of certifications, but actually
Hmm.
nothing has taught me more than my journey.
Thank you so much, Jesse. I mean, yeah, it's something that, yeah, I can learn a lot from, and I'm sure the audience can also learn a lot from. Before we close, can you share some details as to where people can get in touch with you, know more about you, or something that the work that you do?
Absolutely. So I have two ways. First of all, my website, I am fiercegrace.com.
Hmm.
Okay. And there you can look, there's various ways to work with me. If you don't know, just click Let's Connect and book a call. It's free.
Hmm.
And I will see, what we can do to work together if that's what's needed. And then I also have a free gift for your audience. It's called the 10-Step Guide to Freedom.
Right.
And it's just steps to look at no matter what your situation, because I know there could be some people out there saying, yeah, but Jesse, you don't understand my situation.
Hmm.
I know I've been traumatized, but I can't get out of this mess. I have to stay here,
Yeah.
right? I don't have the money or I don't have resources or whatever the story is.
Yeah.
These are 10 steps to help you do something right now, regardless of your situation.
Right.
So, you know, make sure that you sign up to get that. I'll look, it's a link.
Hmm.
And that way we can also connect as well if that's something you'd like to do. But either way, I'd love to offer a free consultation to anyone that's hearing that might need support or help or just to pull themselves out of any pain that they're in, any suffering, any lack of self-worth or
Hmm.
lack of confidence.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you for joining me on this episode. I'm sure the audience will have a lot to take away. There will be some stories that they will relate to, or something else that they can connect with. To the audience who's been listening and watching, don't forget to like the video. And if you feel you connected somewhere, do leave a comment for a question or something that you want to add to the conversation itself. That will also be great. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe before you close the window itself. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you for joining in. Thanks to the audience for joining in as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.